Good evening. It is Monday, October 24, 2022, 7:33 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and looking at the remaining stories today, see what happened, what didn't happen, and got the stories up in front of us. You can see the green check marks. I did a pre-market video, talked about this, and then made a video midday where we could see that story number one, story number two played out very closely to how it was written, actually. And then we're looking at story three. We never got down to the value area high, and this deals with that and trading above the value area high, below the prior high day. And story number four is very similar, except it was a bit lower with the merged profile value area high from the past three sessions. Excuse me. Excuse me. So these did not play out, okay? I do want to point out one thing here. I have a talk, when I was doing this one, I mentioned a possible shift to story 6, and that basically means that at some point we might rotate in this area having a B shape, but look out for it to climb up above. I use the term ladder rungs, and I'm referring basically to the references on the chart. Look for, not like ladder rungs are going to appear, but like kind of monkey barring up, as you can trade against things like that, reference points. And a move to take out the overnight high, because this is what story number 6 is. It has to do with taking out the overnight high and destinations above, inflection points above. Okay? So I wrote it in story 3, but it really applies to any of these before we do take out the overnight high, because we could shift into that story, and we did. Before I get to that, though, acceptance below value area high and merged value area high, this has to do with if we ended up moving to the downside, and we did not. If stories 3 and 4 didn't happen, story 5 definitely did not happen. So we can eliminate these, but we were ready for them if it did happen. They were possibilities. Okay, so what happened next? Right here, we were looking at gapping up 10 points, and we did that. Now, we came down and closed the gap, and then came back out and did stories 1 and 2. Story number 1, which happened secondly, was to trade responsibly until one-time framing develops, or shift in perception of value. Now, value always remained higher. There wasn't really much of a shift, except the value area did keep, incrementally moving higher. But it happened at such a slow rate, I wasn't paying attention to that too much. But what I want to talk about is we did start to develop one-time framing. And one-time framing is tradable in its own right, but we have to wonder, now are we moving higher? Are we shifting into story number 6, which is the later day counter-directional move? Because the initial direction of the day was to try to go lower. It didn't happen. And then we got rejection, so we want to watch for rejection the prior high day. So we got that, okay? And the spike, we got that. We never got to the value areas. And to also, I mentioned the destination of the VPOC of 3794, the volume point of control from the weekly chart, which is right here. Let me pull this in. I'm going to come back to this as well. So 3794 is right here. This is where, now I have these merged together so you can't see it. All right, this is going back to the second, but if I undid the merges, you would see that there was a volume. In fact, I'll just do that real quick. Right here. The purple line, 3794. Okay, that was the, again, this is today right here, this split out profile. And we came up from B period, C period, D period, E period, the rotation up here, and then we moved up. But the destination I was talking about in the one-time framing was, you didn't have to one-time frame to get there, but one of the things to be watching for when you're getting one-time framing is some of the destinations above, and 3794 was in the path. All right, so let's move back to this. Excuse me. So anyway, this is story number 6. Let's put our green check mark here, kind of like a gold star. Ding ding, it worked. This was a good plan. And let's look at it on the profile. Okay, so you can see how we came down a beat of the spike. Now I want to point out I did remove the numbers from the volume profile because when I have it compressed a bit like this, it adds a lot of noise, and the chart's already noisy enough with all the lines, and I'm aware of that. But I've explained that before, that it's like, look, open up a map in your car, and you've got all the different lines of sizes, different colors and sizes, and dotted and whatnot, and you just look at where you are and you look at what's around you. That's all there is to it. So I'm going to open up the profile here. Well, first thing I want to point out is how above the prior high of day, right here, I talked about this in the second video, right down here, you can see where we develop value. Okay, right here. We develop value, I'll shrink it down here, above, all day, above the prior high of day. Okay? All right, now if I put all the letters in their own column here, so we came back out of the prior high of day in C period, and traded up in D period, started one-time framing, got all the way up near the initial balance high, and then we started to rotate back down. So again, the call was to kind of rotational. It actually started one-time framing down. Sometimes you have rotational, doesn't always mean like, if you think about, if you ever do holiday trade, you see how the market will like literally just rotate from one side to the other. It makes a nice little perfect D shape. Excuse me. But again, the way the ES trades the last couple years, you get sometimes these big moves, the whole range, and then a rotation back down. And you see it a lot in the overnight too. So this kind of, sometimes I have something on my worksheet for coming into doing the pre-market. I want us to know what the order flow was in the Asian session and what the order flow was in the European session, and then the order flow coming in right before the open. And I have a couple choices. I've got zigzag, one time framing up, one time framing down, rotational. Well, sometimes the zigzag and the one time framing, it all fits kind of on a bigger picture. If you zoom out, it's rotational. So just bear that in mind. Wish I could define it a little more clearly because, in a sense, this is a zigzag up. It's ABC. But, we rotated up and we came up, came down, came up, came down, came up. It's rotational. Anyway, so we're rotating, right? And then in J period, we began to move up. In K period, now we're one-time framing. I want to point out something that when I talk about a reversal pattern, I like it to happen with the high of the day or low of the day, but if it's a swing high or a swing low or something, and this counts in a sense, but this is a reverse pattern. You got a low, a lower low, and a higher low, and that's often an indication of a change. So once J took out the high of I and H, you start to realize, okay, maybe something's gonna happen. Then K takes out J high. You start to get an idea. It's like, well, maybe I had to get on board somewhere in here. But that was story 6A. We excuse me, later day counter directional move, and excuse me, came all the way up past the overnight high, and then we went through this pink line right here is a poor high, I believe, of overnight, and then of around 10.5 or 10.6, and then 10.5, 38.20 was the high of the day. Now, an important thing that I want to share is that based on the way most of the day was a normal day, we didn't have any range extension, and the range extension was not until, when I say range extension, I mean coming outside the initial bounce. We didn't come out till very much later in the day, and then the tempo was really slow. It was very slow in K, very slow in L. Now, sometimes that can be really dangerous because it's deceptively slow, and it just grinds higher. It's a short covering rally, but look out. It's moving right slow, but it'll still steamroll you over. So if you look to the left, once we got up here, we need to look to the left. There was a major move down on this day. Very strong move down, trend day. And there's a lot of potential for short covering above. Well, didn't know if that's going to happen or not, but for me, the clue was to go short against this prior high day. I did it on a prairie dog. Okay, the clue, and it was a very successful trade. The clue to go short, and I didn't have a good morning at all. Okay, but I took a break and felt better and whatnot, and could think a little more clearly. And once I could identify the tempo and who was likely in control. Okay, so we had the shorter term players. You don't get much range extension, not a lot of net influence from other time frames, bigger players, and coming into the later days. So of course we could have had a late day spike, but once it started struggling, and then it tapered off. If you notice the volume up here, really tapered off. I don't have the numbers on here. You could probably see it go from 100 to doubles to singles or something like that, or thousands to hundreds to doubles. I remember it looked like that. It came in here. I wanted to be short, and let's see here. Give me a second. I think I'd shorted against the overnight high initially, and I got stopped out. So that didn't work on the same type of an idea. I didn't think we'd get much past this. I didn't like the fact this was up here, but I just wasn't liking the tempo, so I took a shot, and I got smacked. But it all worked out in the end because I had a really nice short from here. But it was based on the fact the tempo was slow. We came up here, and once it came back and there wasn't continuation at all, it was like, okay, give me a shot at this because I don't have to risk very much, right? You just risk the high because if it comes back through here, it's probably going to be pretty strong short covering, and you don't stand a chance. You might as well just get out early. And so that was what happened. Then we rotated back down, right? Rotated back down, and I don't know what settlement is yet, but we closed it it looks like 3809.5, and I didn't get to take it all the way down. I didn't hold it through M period or anything like that. Oh no, wait, yes I did, but I didn't take it all the way down here. So I think maybe just around here, but it was a really nice trade. I was very pleased with it, and I did not write that in the stories. And that's one reason I want to bring this up. That wasn't in the stories, but again, I'm thinking that if we got up here, that destination inflection points above, right? I mean, I was prepared to be long because look at all these destination things I have that I talked about. Inflection points. Done my homework, right? Well, it was a tough decision on one hand. On the other hand, experience and my, again, it was asymmetric. It didn't have to risk a lot. It was worth the shot. It's like, you know what? I think they're a little high on the pole here, and they're going to want to come down into the close. There's going to be some long liquidation. And fortunately, I was right. Could have just easily been wrong. I saw somebody post the other day it had something to do with being what's a trade tell you? What can you learn from a trade that goes your way immediately, or something like that? Or what is a trade telling you that goes your way immediately? And my response is, you got lucky. I don't care how much all your stars and your Cocker Spaniel tells you it's right, and everything lines up, all your indicators, all your whatever, tea leaves, you name it, and it goes your way. You get at the right time, and everything just takes off. You don't even take a tick of heat. Well, you could feel very lucky because it could have easily done the other thing. It could have gone the other way and not gone one tick in your favor, even if everything looked good. Because, ask me how I know. Because it happened. Everything is right. The trade, quote unquote, should work. I think it's listen, I say these things. I'm no guru. I have to tell. I'm talking to myself basically. We can't should the market. The market should do this and should do that. We shouldn't should the market. All right. Well, enough of that. This is my trading entry for today, and hope you have a great evening, and hope tomorrow's a great day for you. So hopefully I'll be back in the saddle tomorrow with another plan, and maybe it'll be as successful as today. So thank you very much. And by the way, I want to add this too. I'm talking to myself. It doesn't matter how great my plans are. I know last week I had one that every single one played out pretty much as written. But you know what? If I'm not in shape for it, and this morning I didn't feel well, but you know what? Trading's a little different. Like a lot of jobs in my life, if I didn't feel well, you just power through. You just go on and you do it. You still do a good job and all this. Trading's a little different. At least for me, it's I gotta be. I guess there's a lot of intuition involved and things like that after you have a lot of experience, and just need to be in tune with that. And we're not feeling good. We're not quite as in tune many times. So I think that's important to remember that I could write up a bunch of stories I see happening based on what happens tonight, and we come in tomorrow, and they'd be great stories. And if I'm not patient and wait for them, they're useless to me. They're useless to me unless I can plan the trade, but unless I trade the plan, then they're useless. And the plans take time to play out. They really do. And that's important to know, that we need to remember this is only part of the process. It's just only part of it. We got to meet the plan where it is, right? And I'm talking to myself here. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Oh, one more thing. So I had drawn on this weekly chart. Let me merge these together here. I had pulled this together from the second, and one of the possibilities I talked about was like backfilling this area, and I drew this green circle. And in the pre-market, I was saying, this was off screen over here. I was thinking, there's something else I wanted to point out too, and I couldn't remember what it was, and I said, it's all right, got to move on, keep on trucking. Well, it was basically the same thing, but going back a little further, because I realized, we were trading, we opened like right here. We were right in here, and I thought, well, we could come, and you got this big cavity here, and what's it look like if I merge this all together? So this goes back to the end of September, and I was going to draw, I think I did for myself, as I was preparing to make the video, we had this up here, right? So we've got a possibility for back and fill through here. Well, look at this. We're starting to, possibly, so like, let's see, where's the high? Right here. So kind of is filling this in. So tomorrow, are we going to get more? I don't know. There's a lot of room for short covering. It could really go either way, in my opinion. I don't really know. The thing is, I want to be ready, and I want to be prepared that we could see a big rotation back and forth through here. Maybe it'll just one time frame right through it. I don't know. But we never did back and fill this yet, so there could be there's that, right? Anyway, it's just this phenomenon I've seen time and again on lots of different time frames. This is the weekly. And being said, it's weekly. It could take all week for one or the other to happen, or not at all. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great evening.